Redditors with jobs most people don't know exist. What do you do? I used to be an E911 call tester for a large service provider in the US. Literally drive cell tower to cell tower calling 911, making sure it all routes to the correct emergency services. You'd be surprised at how many times it would fail. I used to build hiking trails. A lot of people assume they just are naturally formed or something, but that's the goal of a good trail builder. I'm a commercial diver. I do underwater construction salvage inspection. People don't think about it, but pretty much any job that requires something be done underwater we get a call. It's loads of fun and the pay is great. This isn't a funny one really, but I used to work in clubs venues doing lighting and other tech work. On club nights, I'd be operating the lighting rig and people would come knock on my booth window and think I'm the DJ. And people I'd meet who ask what I do for work would usually say, oh, I always thought it's just a computer or something. I mean it is, but I tell it what to do. My job is closest to being disability support, but it's a little more specific. I'm basically paid to be my client's best friend. His disability makes him either the coolest person ever if he likes you, or the most difficult person if he doesn't. So keeping him in a good mood requires me to be like a constant hype man, and getting him pumped for the next little part of every day. And his thing is he can sniff out insincerity a mile away, which is why none of the past caregivers have worked out. So you have to genuinely enjoy hanging out with him, which luckily I do. Not sure if this answer is on topic, but it feels like a very unique job to me. I wash all the blood, globs of fat, flaps of skin, bone chips, and fecal matter off of surgical instruments. Then I assemble the instruments into sets for specific surgeries. Then I sterilize them, using either steam autoclaves or machines that utilize chemical sterilization. Then I'll load them up onto case carts and deliver them to the OR for the next day's scheduled surgeries. It's a hugely important job that no one even knows exists. My mom is a horse braider. Not a breeder but a braider. She braids horses' manes and tails for horse shows. It's quite lucrative, as people who own horses know. Everything to do with horses is expensive. I'm a flavorist. We basically create or duplicate flavors using chemicals, extracts, oils, etc. Food processing destroys a lot of natural flavors, so it's our job to make sure the food tastes the way it should, i.e. products that say made with real cheese taste so good because of cheese flavoring, not because there's a small amount of cheese in there. You think you know how something tastes until someone asks you to duplicate it for them. I'm a demand planner. My job is to make sure when you walk into a store or order online we have that specific thing you want in stock. Most jobs I've worked required us to have 95% plus product in stock at all times. Usually when we have a stock out, it's because some genius decided he needed 64 hammers or 500 gallons of milk at once, screwing up the demand model. I work in IT distribution. Think the middleman. Most people think that your local mom and pop stores, and even Best Buy, get their products direct from vendors like Sony, Cisco, or even Ruckus. This isn't the case. They get it from distributors. I love my job. I get to work directly with business owners to sell all sorts of IT products. I even get to wheel a blessing. I work direct with the vendors as well, often on behalf of the business. I paint corporate scenery. Corporate scenery is everywhere, but it's designed to be unobtrusive. Whenever there's a stage at a conference, or a trade show, or product release, or an ad shoot, they hire a scene shop to build and paint their specific design. For a high-profile example, my shop built and I stained the wood for the Ubisoft stage at E3 2019. Pretty much anyone can slap a coat of paint on a wall. My specific skill is needed to mix exact brand color matches, paint logos onto things, and when the work is going to be seen right up close, I can do really high finish work to make it totally clean and perfect and give them the exact sheen surface quality the designer specifies. I go from mattress store to mattress store, checking that they haven't removed those tags that say do not remove under penalty of law. I'm called a federal mattress content regulation inspector. Not my current job, but I used to investigate distribution fraud. Do you wanna know how a tech company sells and ships 100,000 laptops into a random developing country with limited infrastructure? They hire a local distributor. Not surprisingly, there is a ton of fraud, bribery, tax evasion that goes down in this business. I was fresh out of college and I would have people 30 years older than me literally begging for their lives. At the time I just thought it was a normal consulting job, but sometimes when I'm telling stories at a bar and watching my friends' jaws drop, I realize just how crazy this was. I look at pieces of tissue under the microscope to provide diagnosis on biopsies and surgical specimen. Few people know that practically all cancer diagnoses are done this way, by someone looking at the cells and going, yeah, this looks like cancer. My dad is what's called a process server, otherwise known as a constable. Basically he goes around the city giving court papers to defendants, telling them that they have to appear in court on a certain date for a certain thing. For safety reasons. It's never about a crime, the police handles that. But it's usually that they're getting evicted, or they're getting a divorce, or getting sued. Civil things like that. Maybe people do know about this. But what I know is that everyone I tell this to has no idea what it is. I'm a butler. I work for a marquee in the West Midlands of England in a large estate. I'm always surprised, but a lot of people didn't know it was a real job, especially Americans. I'm also fairly young and break the stereotypes that Alfred Pennyworth has set about how a butler should be. I work in a hospital lab. Most people assume I just draw blood. While I'm trained to draw blood, I haven't done it in over a year. I run the tests that are done in the lab and make sure the results are accurate, which requires education, reasoning skills, and knowing how to work on maintain very expensive instruments, since a lot of tests are moving towards automation. The lab is also who gets called whenever a nurse has questions about what results mean and what the criteria is for specimens. I used to work at a lab in Memphis where we would perform surgical procedures on cadavers and test new medical equipment that was being developed. Saw some crazy futuristic shit. I make movie reels with a fiber optic laser. I also make the hardware for barn doors. I do a lot of different things at my job. But one of the big things is that I build GPS models for earth-moving construction equipment. I think a lot of people are aware that bulldozers and the like can use GPS now. But not a lot of people realize the effort that goes into determining exactly what those machines will grade. It's a lot of fun. I work as a stand-in bridesmaid. Basically, if a bridesmaid decides not to arrive at a wedding, you can hire a stand-in bridesmaid. Stand-in bridesmaids do everything a normal bridesmaid does except to pay them, and they usually do it better since it's their job. It's a lot of fun going to a wedding as a stand-in bridesmaid, even if I don't know anyone there. A wedding I attended had an open bar and the real bridesmaid bailed last second because she apparently just realized she was worried things would get too crazy with the open bar. Her loss. The people there were really great. And the bride just told everyone that I was the one who encouraged her to start dating her now husband. Me and the bride ended up actually becoming great friends, and we are still in contact to this day. They, the bride and groom from the wedding, are now happily married and have a beautiful daughter. I used to work at Cambridge Analytica. Now my job is to enforce NDAs, protect data, and find ways to contact senators that could be influenced. I make recommendations to the people who make decisions on the behalf of the people looking after your pension fund. Not me, but my dad. He's an insurance surveyor inspector. When you buy a house or get new insurance on it, they have to get a third-party inspector to go around your house taking pictures and filling out a small form for each house. So that's what he does. Basically, the insurance company wants to find certain flaws to jack up your prices. He makes 80k plus a year between him and his wife. It requires no degree, just a valid license, a working car, and internet to upload the orders.